Welcome to Cleveland Conversations. The city of Cleveland is organized into wards, and each ward has its own history, its own successes, its own challenges and difficulties that they face. And each ward is led by a council person. And it is our pleasure today to welcome Councilperson Stephanie Howse-Jones to our program. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And Ms. Howse-Jones is the councilperson from Ward 7 in Cleveland. So let's start by having you describe your ward for our listeners.
Yeah, so I will say the current Ward 7 consists of Asiatown, Hove, St. Clair Superior, and downtown that will transition into the new Ward 8, which includes all of those neighborhoods, which will be more of downtown and additional Glenville. So we're in the transitional stage.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of diversity in the wards themselves, which you just went through. So in your role as a civic leader for all these different things, how do you find balancing some of the things that are going on in Asiatown with St. Clair Superior? How do you think about that?
So I think it's really important in my role to, first and foremost, to actually listen. And as we talk about balancing things, I would categorize it as shifting priorities, right? Because everybody doesn't need the same thing at the same time. And so depending on what I am hearing, from a multitude of community members, stakeholders, then that's how we kind of shift our priorities to be able to pivot and support, work in partnership, or respond to the things that are coming into our office. And so that's kind of the way that we move to serve and be in partnership with our community members.
And how do you perceive your role as a council person? What motivated you to get in to pursue that opportunity? So
me wanting to be in public service was definitely sparked from my mother, the Honorable Annie L. Key. My mother, she was our street block club president. She was a precinct committee person, and then she eventually became a state representative in the Ohio House of Representatives. And so just growing up in a very civic-minded home, naturally you have exposure to many different leaders, elected, appointed throughout the city, and seeing the opportunity to be able to help people work with neighbors really left a lasting impression on me. And, as God will have it, people eventually said yes to me, and here I sit now. And so I'm very grateful, for this opportunity to be able to work in partnership and really, serve as the voice from the community that raised me.
Mm-hmm. And in your ward, what are the main challenges that you see?
Oh, when we talk about challenges, I definitely, first and foremost, starting off with affordable housing, the lack of affordable housing, the lack of resources for people to repair their homes or property tax relief to stay in their homes. There are also, I would say, challenges around public safety. Many of the times when you are dealing with some of the socioeconomic conditions where people don't have enough, then what you will see on the other side of is many of the safety challenges where people who are hurt are causing harm to other people. And then lastly, I would say there's always this strain on city services, right? For the city of Cleveland to be able to effectively deliver quality services that residents and business stakeholders alike can recognize to understand that you have a city that is working for you, that's listening and working on your behalf.
And are you hearing from constituents about property taxes? Because I know that's been, property values have gone up,
Yes.
generally speaking, across the greater Cleveland area. And from one perspective, many would consider that to be a good thing. But then that can also have another side of it as well. What are you hearing from people?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm really grateful to have a good, strong working relationship with my counterpart, County Councilwoman Yvonne Conwell. And I think it was about 3 weeks ago, we did a joint property tax informational where the county team came, because that's one of the things that people don't realize. The function and operation and management of property taxes is really put into the hands of Cuyahoga County. And because Cleveland is the Cuyahoga County, we have to have a partnership. And so we had this informational that really talked about how we got to this point, which is based on state law. Like property taxes, the percentage that you pay is set in state law. And from that, we go through, I think, every 4 to 6 years, we have to go through this assessment. And the real issue is that at the accelerated rate of the increase of property taxes, people's money in their pockets, like what you're getting if you're on a fixed income, you're not getting your cost of living increase as much as our property taxes increases, or if you are actually fortunate to be employed, your raise has not kept pace with the increase in property taxes. And that's what people are talking about. So being able to share the information of the property tax relief that Cuyahoga County is offering for property owners that are over the ages of 70, you can submit for property tax relief. If there, again, other things for seniors, if you don't know about the homestead exemption. And then for individuals who don't fit into those categories, really encouraging people to reach out to our state legislators, so those who represent you as an Ohio State representative, as well as Ohio State senator, to really call upon our state legislators to advocate for property tax relief. There have been a multitude of proposals, and we really need the Ohio General Assembly to act.
Has that been frustrating?
It is very frustrating. It is very frustrating when you see that it is a legislature who is absolutely just ignoring a real reality that is happening with people. People are calling, people are pushing, and they will let you know in one hand what they can't do, but then hence, I know we'll get into it later, they're pushing the agenda of very well-to-do people, despite the cries of the everyday, people that are here in our Cleveland community.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about what are the opportunities you see for Ward 7? What are some of the positives that you see?
Yeah, so I will always talk about the positives, talking about where we want to go. It's how do you create a community where everyone is living a life well lived, looking through the framework of the ABCs, access to resources, building family and neighbor relationships, and creating a safe and vibrant neighborhood. What does that look like? Community members getting to know one another. We are really working to invest in our people, and we will be shortly rolling out our grassroots grant initiative where community members will come together, allocate some small grants, but also activate one another by hosting neighborhood nights, action clinics, to take the things that people might be thinking about to then be able to come up with a plan to take action to improve the conditions within our communities. So really excited to that.
Talk a little bit more about the small grants initiative. Mm-hmm. Like what's an example of a small grant that would make a difference?
Yeah, so we will, the initial group of people, like the advisory board members, however we're going to name them, but they actually will receive a small stipend to come up with a framework. But ideally, it is very similar. Many people may have heard of Neighborhood Connections, where community members can get between $500 to $5,000 to do a community project, right? And that can be anything from supporting a youth program or coming up with an exercise class for our special seniors, to doing a mural somewhere. I mean, it can run the gamut. The ideas are endless. What you do need is willing people that not only have an idea, but will put a plan together and then present that proposal to your neighbors. And some people will be selected. They will get dollars in hand for them to actually activate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not that long ago, I was volunteering to build pollinator gardens, which I believe was a similar kind of program. So smaller scale. You spoke earlier about how important service is to you and your background. How do you communicate with your constituents? I know in Ward 7, not everybody has access to high-speed internet and the like. How do you go about managing the relationships with your constituents?
So there are a multitude of ways that we communicate with individuals. We do like 3 times a year, people will get a printed newsletter that will come to your door. Every household in our ward will at least be able to hear from our office 3 times a year. Beyond that, we also do other mailings, postcards, and things of that nature. In addition to that, we host pretty frequently community meetings, around 8 a year. How we communicate with that, we have a text message that goes out to people. We do a weekly e-newsletter. From there, I'm working on my social media, so I'm glad I'm here at the communications department, so y'all can help me get that together. We also do like what I would call community drop-ins, where we'll be at just local restaurants, public spaces where people can have face-to-face time directly toward me. So we really are coming up with like a integrated, comprehensive plan to be able to reach and connect the multitude of stakeholders that we have in our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And what is a project that you're most proud of?
Oh, I'm proud of them all. Mm-hmm. I would say most recently, we talked about, I guess this is the partnership with the city of Cleveland, the Home for Every Neighbor project. This was led, through the mayor investment of ARPA dollars that came from the Biden-Harris administration, where we were able to see $2 million to come up with an approach from those directly that are in encampments, so sleeping on the street, directly to housing. In less than a year, we have been able to rehouse over 150 individuals, and it really has been transformative to show what the collective power can be when we all are working together with a shared vision to work in partnership with, some of the most vulnerable people in our community to provide dignity and also, improve some of the conditions throughout the city of Cleveland. I think that, it's just really amazing. And, because it was so successful, we just recently introduced another legislation to hopefully be able to continue it, to invest more, to see this community collaboration happening together.
That's tremendous. I know another project that you had worked on was this concept of transforming neighborhood resource rec centers to be more, and I want to be careful I get this terminology right, trauma informed. Mm-hmm. Talk about that. That's a very interesting concept.
Yeah. So what you will find is in the city of Cleveland, in the former administration, under Mayor Jackson, this idea of not just having a rec center, right? When you think of a rec center, you think about sports. You go there, let the kids go, develop your skills, and go from there. But there was a recognition that if you have a physical asset, there's so much more you can do. And so they rolled out this transforming of our rec centers into neighborhood resource and recreation centers, really from a trauma-informed lens. Then COVID-19 happened, all that work kind of had to fall by the waysides. And with the new administration coming in, working in partnership with council, there has been a focus on investing and really elevating what our neighborhood resource and recreation centers can be. So beyond the traditional sports programs, what you will find, there is a social support specialist in each one of our neighborhood resource recreation centers. This is a person that is dedicated to helping connect people to resources. If you have a help, if you need a connection, there is someone dedicated that can help you do that, and help people with some of the healing, that is necessary and needed. You will also find elevated programming that will have, and you will have yoga, other sports that you might not have, arts and culture, community partnerships for mentoring, things of that nature. Like I said, really expanding upon what we think of in a traditional recreation center. Mm-hmm.
And has that been positively received?
It has been. I think the bigger thing that we have to do is continue to communicate it, because people still don't know. Like, communication is fundamental to everything. And so we still have a ways to go to communicating that information to our Cleveland residents and stakeholders, that we have moved beyond just traditional recreation. This is a place where people can go and get help and support based on some of the needs that they may be experiencing in the community.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about some of the issues that are more generalized to Cleveland, but of course have an impact on wards as well.
Okay.
What's your position on the ongoing kerfuffle concerning Brown Stadium, where it should be, where it should not be, what funding models should be followed?
I'll say this. The Cleveland Browns are the city of Cleveland, and it needs to absolutely stay in the city of Cleveland. When you think about, well, where did this proposition comes from? At the end of the day, you have a very wealthy person in the Howse-Jones families being absolutely greedy, right? Because right now, all they have is control of is the Browns. And when you look at the proposition to move it to another municipality, it then affords them the opportunity to have complete control of everything, to enrich themselves even further at the detriment to the local nucleus, not only to the city of Cleveland, but Northeast Ohio. Cleveland is the economic driver for Northeast Ohio in partnership with other municipalities. And it's so disheartening to see that a person who has a business and just the partnership that we've had over the years has come to this to this juncture. I hope that the Ohio General Assembly does not fund this proposition that will cause some irreparable harm to the city of Cleveland. We are looking upwards of at least $25 million being taken out just of our city of Cleveland operations, not to speak of the much devastation that will happen to so many small businesses that have been working, who are providing jobs for Clevelanders, investing in our communities to, help move our city forward. It's an unfortunate thing, but this is the reality when people have prioritized their own profits for and having real partnership with people.
Mm-hmm. And what about the public safety issue in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
Is that ward specific? Is that a citywide challenge? How do you perceive that?
So this is the thing. I think this is one of the things we all have to look holistically. The city of Cleveland has for generations always ranked in the top 5 when it comes to being one of the poorest communities in the nation, right? And what you find is when people are coming from a place of deficit, then hurt people. So a lot of times we focus our energy on responding to the harm versus looking at the root causes of why people are doing some of the harmful activities and really focusing our investments and actions on helping people to at least have their minimum needs met, right? If you don't have a safe home to live in, if you don't have food to eat on your back, if you're unable to get access to a quality paying family sustaining wage opportunity, if you don't have childcare available or quality program before school or after school for your young people, this is what results, this is what happens. And we really need all community members to come and join and partner with us to be able to invest in community members so that we can reduce the harm that some are causing, that really is taking up the gas and the energy for that has this narrative of our community being so unsafe. And then when you look at more deep dive into it, especially as it relates to shootings, domestic violence, these are relationships that have really gone awry, and unfortunately have had some very harmful, life-ending results that we really need to take a look at, and hopefully just to have the investment so that people can have confidence in each other, and that we can improve some of the perceptions in the city of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. And the city of Cleveland, a parental leave policy. Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so parental leave, it's a part, I would say, of the equal pay initiative that we are undertaking for those individuals who work for the city of Cleveland. You are afforded for full-time workers up to 12 12 weeks, of paid time off when you become a parent. That's whether you have a child, if you are the legal guardian of a child, if you adopt a child, and I know it does wonders for a family to be able to have an employer, hence the city of Cleveland, that affords you this opportunity to not be financially penalized or lose employment for expanding your family in the way that you will do it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing, Burke Lakefront Airport. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that? Should it stay as it is? Should we be developing it? This always seems to go around and around.
So this is a thing where, honestly, I really don't. I guess I can go either way on it. I know there are plans when we think about, can we get more bang for our buck, right, with the redevelopment of a lakefront plan. Being in other communities, I have seen it. With that is thinking through, how do you have a real transition plan? Because I don't know all the inner workings of Burke Lakefront. I will readily admit that, to ensure that as we are bringing this vision of having a new lakefront plan, that we don't have any unintentional consequences, for businesses and operations there. So I do believe that we can get it done for a relocation of Burke Lakefront. So I guess I'm in support of relocating Burke Lakefront. But I do think we need to absolutely have more partnership to ensure that we just don't, necessarily harm individuals.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just help for our audience members who may not be aware of the details of this. Mm-hmm. Why is Cleveland going from 17 to 15 wards?
Yes.
What's happening here?
Okay, so this is the reason why the census is important. When people told everyone to fill out their census in 2020, our ward structure system is tied to the population within the city of Cleveland. As a result of us going under 370,000 individuals, it triggered us having to reduce Cleveland City Council from 17 members down to 15 members, which is the amount of council members based on our population between 325,000 to 375,000 people. Mm-hmm. And so hence the result.
Are there any final thoughts or words you'd like to share about your ward, about the city of Cleveland?
No, Ward 7, soon to be the new Ward 8, is the best place. Mm-hmm. The best place in Cleveland. I would welcome people to come experience all that we have within Asiatown, Huff, St. Clair, Superior, and downtown. We have amazing people, amazing events. And whether you work, live, or play here, there is something for you. And then again, in this season of transition, to remind people that there will be 3 elections coming up this year. We're voting on a state issue coming up on May 6th. So hopefully you are registered to vote and you exercise your right to vote. And then we have our municipal elections on September 9th and November 4th. So. Mm-hmm.
And your constituents can reach out to you
at
any time.
Absolutely. Yep. If anybody would like to get connected to me, please feel free to contact my office, 216-664-2908. My email address, showsejones@clevelandcitycouncil.org, and all social media at Stephanie Howse. And that's with a W.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we would like to thank Councilperson Howse-Jones for visiting us today and answering our questions. She's a fierce public servant, advocate for her community, and we are grateful for having had the opportunity to learn from her. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Cleveland Conversations.